this is pretty incremental. Like, I think if we actually talk to Alex Spiro, like if this is the lawyer, Alex Spiro, who filed this for Jay-Z, he represents Jay-Z, and he represents a lot of high profile defendants. He's currently doing work for Elon Musk, etc. And he represents a lot of different celebrities, but let's pull him up here. You all might recognize him as Alec Baldwin's lawyer, and that was at least it was the first time for me that I was actually able to see him in action. So yeah, as Here Comes Drama said, hit that like button. But he is a bulldog, and he really took a proactive approach to these filings once Jay-Z was named as a defendant in the amended complaint. And I think if we actually talk to Alex about some of the requests that he made to the judge, I think he knows that the chances of them actually being granted, especially the one about he wanted her to shorten the window, the waiting period for filing a motion for sanctions. He wanted her to shorten that from 21 days to 1 day. And I think if you actually ask him about that, he'd have to acknowledge that the chances of that actually happening, of her actually going for that, were like slim to none. Like, I don't think he was filing those requests necessarily because he thought they were being granted, but there was a big PR tactic of it. He was using the filings to respond to the interviews and the media coverage of the Jay-Z lawsuit. So I don't think he actually thought that that was going to be granted, just because, like I said, I mean, the whole idea that she would shorten the window from 21 days to 1 day was kind of ridiculous. But she called him out on his tactics, said Carter's lawyers' relentless filing of combative motions containing inflammatory language and ad hominem attacks are inappropriate, a waste of judicial resources, and a tactic unlikely to benefit his client. The court will not fast track the judicial process merely because counsel demands it. And I think for a lot of people who pay attention to federal courts, and especially just looking at this judge's background, none of this is really surprising. But I don't think Alex was really filing this stuff for her. I mean, he was filing this stuff for the public. But one misstep, arguably, that he might have made here is, while I don't think his request to shorten the filing window from 21 days to 1 day, I mean, I don't think that had a chance of being granted. The one that seemed like it could have been granted, that he did have some law in his favor on, that was his request that the plaintiff have to identify herself publicly, because we've seen that order issued in other lawsuits against Diddy. Although I do think that the order that Judge Clark issued in February 2029, which is actually cited by Judge Torres in here, and that's the order that says the plaintiff suing Diddy has to identify herself, that came at a different time in the litigation. There wasn't so much attention on it, etc. I mean, just the amount of attention we're having, and then the tone of some of Alex's filings. I mean, you can kind of see why the judge here thought that it's just a different situation now, and that right now the factors favor anonymity. But she emphasized that it's a temporary situation, and that she could revisit and change that. But you wonder if the judge, it's hard to say. I mean, hopefully she just made that decision entirely on the merits, but she obviously was pretty turned off by Alex's tactics. So you kind of wonder if he hadn't done all the other stuff, if she would have had a different approach to the anonymity request. But he definitely lost that one. The one that she hasn't ruled on yet, though, is he did do a request for Buzbee to be ordered to preserve evidence, which implying that because the lawsuit is, BS, Buzbee is going to destroy evidence because he had bad ethics. And she hasn't rejected that. She actually set a briefing schedule for it, and he has until January 10th to file his reply, and then Alex can respond after that. So we'll bring up the order here in a second, but thank you just for, thank you. I'm so happy to say hi to the fans. I was actually going through my merch. I still got some merch left, some Meghann the Reporter and Googly Eyed Bitch merch left, and was like, I need to promote this stuff better for my fans. But if you guys go to megannthereporter.com, I've got some like sweatshirts and like stickers and mugs. The mugs are the most popular. But let me see here. It says, can you speak on why can't get, and it's getting the same traction? I think those, I don't know. I'm just ignoring that. I mean, I just think it seems weird. I mean, and I can kind of see why, I mean, celebrities are just like, why anyone who asks for a DNA test, why would they have to take it? You know, I haven't really paid attention to that one. But obviously she didn't shut the door on his motions for sanction, his motion for sanctions. She says that he could file one. She's not going to shorten the window, but just her tone in this, it's I mean, he could file one, but it's not going to be granted. So it definitely looks like, I mean, from right now, the case is proceeding. His media's request was that she strike the amended complaint, which if she had done that, I mean, the case would pretty much just be over. I mean, Diddy or Jay-Z wouldn't be a defendant anymore, but she didn't. So now it just goes through the basic litigation process. But we'll say, I think, I mean, I can definitely see the concern about the court of public opinion and the need to protect a reputation and everything. And Alex Spiro has been talking about how this is, you know, such a matter of such dire importance. But I mean, one of these lawsuits against a celebrity, this sex assault lawsuit, actually went to trial recently, you know, in the last couple of years, and a jury found him liable for sexual abuse, and the country went on to elect him president. So, I mean, the idea that one lawsuit that hasn't even been to court yet at all is just going to tank Jay-Z's reputation and like everything that he's built over the last 25 years. I mean, realize it's easier said than done when you're not the person accused, that kind of thing. But I mean, I just feel like, and especially around this time of year, I mean, while there is, obviously we're all here talking about it. Anytime I post about it online, it gets a ton of attention, but the massive public at large is so big. And I just wonder how much they're really hanging on all the back and forth. You know, the idea that these statements and all these filings are just tipping the public scale back and forth. Like, I think the mass general public, the last time they probably remember seeing Jay-Z is maybe at the Grammys or the Super Bowl. Those were like his big public appearances. And then there's, you know, a much smaller like group kind of watching this. But I just feel like the idea that this one lawsuit from Tony Buzbee is just ruining his reputation. It's like, but it's going to be around for a while. So we'll see. I mean, like I said, like legally I think Alex's stuff succeeded in the public relations realm. The idea that he ever actually thought a lot of this stuff was going to work, like his request to shorten the window, his request to strike the complaint completely. I mean, all that stuff would have been pretty out there to actually have granted, but there was definitely a public relations pull behind it. So thank you. I love you guys too. I love you guys.